When we talk about performance anxiety and pressure, I feel like for myself, that was probably two of the bigger ones that I dealt with, during my time in school. For you, Carson, what have been some of the most effective strategies you found for helping athletes kind of manage and deal with, either that performance anxiety or even that pressure during, those game or even practice situations?
I think mindfulness is huge. And this is something I really want to like continue to learn about and get better at. But like I think just helping athletes ground themselves is like the biggest thing. Because when we're feeling nervous and anxious, like our mind goes so many places and now we're not even like remotely in the moment. And so, telling them do something as simple as like adjust your jersey or like smell the grass, whatever it is. Like think about your senses, do something to bring you back because we're getting way out of where we want to be. The other thing is like helping them understand the connection between how our body feels and our thoughts and then our behavior, or in their case like their performance, right? And so I always like draw the little triangle with them and we talk about, if I'm a soccer player and I'm feeling really nervous, like my stomach, I think I'm going to be sick. That's what it feels like my heart's kind of racing, like I feel really sweaty, I'm tightening up, a ball's played to me and I'm thinking, oh crap, like I'm so nervous, like I don't want them to pass me. Oh great, the ball's coming to me. Okay, my first touch is not going to be like calm, cool, collected, right? Like that anxiety in my body and in my mind is now causing that performance to be not smooth and not confident. And so it's like, okay, well, I can't control that my stomach hurts. Like that was always the thing for me. This is the stomach, or like I felt like I was gonna cry or something. And it's like, okay, yes, you can't control whatever that's happening physiologically, but can you recognize it and then do something to combat it? So like, okay, my heart's racing. I'm gonna like force myself to take this deep breath. Or I notice my body's getting tight. Okay, can I start to like stretch? Can I do a run out? Can I do something? Okay, the anxious thoughts are going. What can I remind myself? Like for me, when I would put on my spikes, I was pretty like talkative and chatty and happy like in the warm up. But then when I'm switching to my spikes and I'm ready to like get close to it, that was like sit alone. And the first thing I would always say is like, it's just track. And some people might say that you know that is not good. You're supposed to care. It's not just track. This is the finals of the 100 or whatever. But like for me, that was what helped me calm down, was like this is like one small part of who you are. This is one, literally it's hopefully under 12 seconds of your whole like life and day. It's really not that deep. And so that was what I needed in that moment when I put on my spikes. Once I'm in the blocks, now it's something completely different. I'm not like, none of this matters. Like, of course not, right? And so it's understanding like your routine and then like sprinkling in that mindfulness, grounding thoughts, cognitive cues, physical cues, all that sort of stuff. The arousal and the physiological stuff I think is really important because we often don't think about that. Sometimes we don't even think about the stuff that we're saying in our head either. We only think about the performance piece of that triangle of like, well, I missed the shot. Okay, well, if you missed the shot, like what were you actually thinking? What were you feeling? And some people will be like, well, nothing. And I'm like, you just never paid attention to it. And the best part is like when you are at your best and you're in that flow, you might think about nothing. And that'd be great. But when they say that for the opposite of the poor performance, I'm like, I'm not quite sure that's what's going on. And so it's like, slow down, understand what's happening, and then you create routines and create strategies to get you into that right zone. So I know to run fast, I need to feel loose. I need to be like realistic. Me saying, I'm the fastest one here, not realistic. Okay. I know this girl that runs next to me. Me saying that affirmation, not helpful. Instead, I can be like, I know I'm all I can do is try my best. Like literally, that's all you can do. I'm gonna worry about me. Maybe that's my self-talk, right? I need to get myself loose. I need to get my breathing under control because I'm freaking out. I used to like shake my legs like crazy. I'm like, you're wasting all your energy. So just figuring out, okay, like what do I need to get myself to be set up for success? And then after I do whatever it is, the run, the game, whatever, reflection, like what happened, what worked, what didn't work. Okay, let's talk about it. Like having another professional there. That's why it's great to have someone like myself, like at these schools and on these teams, is because you need that help, like you need that prompting and those questions and that challenging other voice to be like, okay, but how do you actually feel? Like what actually happened? What do you want to work on? Yada, yada. So I'd say those are like the biggest things in terms of dealing with pre-performance like anxiety and just like the pressure would be mindfulness, like routine awareness, and then the triangle. Like just remembering like the things that you can control are things about your body and things about your mind. So don't focus on like Susie next to you. Focus on how you're getting yourself ready. So yeah, I'd say those are probably like the biggest ones.
And I like how you mentioned the whole like mindfulness, because I know for myself, like in the past, I would always think like I'm gonna mess up in what I do. Like I'm gonna mess up before I go on a performance for dance. Like I'm gonna be like in the wings off stage being like, how can I mentally prepare myself to do this and actually do well? And then that also affects the way I perform because I'm like, well, I messed up, but why was that? Like why did that happen? And so it wasn't until like I guess like college when I learned from like other dance choreographers and those that graduated and are like in the master's program who told me like make sure you're grounded, make sure you look around like your environment, like know that like everything is okay, like it's calm, like just like envision yourself doing well. So it's kind of like that affirmation thing as like I'm gonna do well, and obviously if I don't, well then what's gonna happen? Nothing. Like I can always improve from there. And so with the involvement of like the technology and research, because I technically didn't really know about this except for those in the master's program or from social media, which is where I learned about affirmations. Like I know a lot of people don't have access to these mental performance coaches. So how do you see like the involvement within the next decade be able to see how these mental performances like coaches are able to help these collegiate athletes in the future?
Post-COVID world is like the one thing we can be grateful for is stuff like this. And so that's one thing I also like about the work that I do because it's not clinical. There's a lot less restriction. So I can, I don't use Zoom, but I virtually chat with, clients from all over. And even when I left Minnesota, like if they want to continue, I can continue. And I don't have to have a license in Minnesota and Illinois and Ohio. So I think like that piece is really important, being able to do a lot online. I make a lot of content for my athletes and then just like shoot them via text, via email, whatever. Like they're like writing on their iPads, sending it back, all the things. I tell them I like them to have a journal, like a physical journal, but I'm like, after your game, like voice memo, notes app, I don't care, do something. So I think that is like one piece is just the accessibility is only increasing. I even do like groups on Zoom. It's not as fun, but like it's doable. And the individuals I was surprised with how quickly it could feel personal and intimate. Like I was really worried about that because being in person is so great, but we all have gotten so good at this because of COVID that I think I'm able to establish a relationship like just as quickly. And so that's definitely one piece. Tons of apps coming out, right? Like I love to recommend anything and everything. And I think people are getting on board with this field. People are wanting to help these individuals. And so there's only more and more out there that we can, have them read, listen to, watch, use, all that sort of stuff. And then like as a coach too, using voice memo, like I'll do an imagery script for someone and now I can just record it easily and then send it off. They can listen to it on the bus. Like it's so simple and so easy. And it's just because all the technology and the ways that we're learning to adapt everything. So I think, yeah, there's it's a very bright future for mental performance coaching.
I'm glad you still kind of like loop in like the human aspect of it though and still touch on that because I think that that's gonna ever remain for just the existence of it, right? You're always gonna have to have that human touch and somebody to relate to at the end of the day. Because ultimately the technology wasn't there being an athlete beforehand, or they didn't have all the college education that you had to go through and the certifications and all of that. But I think too it comes down to having those shared experiences and saying, hey, you know what, I was an athlete, I did struggle, I am open, and that's how, again, how you create those connections and create someone to say, hey, you know what, I trust what Carson's saying, I trust what that she's been through what I'm going through right now, and that what she's saying is actually going to be able to help me going forward in the future. So I think that's super cool, and again too very positive with the kind of integration with the more technology as well. But last little piece for you, last little question, and again take this however you want, but what piece of advice would you give to someone who's currently either pursuing a career in sports psychology or even mental performance? And I guess what would you tell them, either hey, if they're a still in college, if they're B, kind of maybe trying to figure it out, maybe they're not unsure of going into the field or not, if it's something they truly want to pursue, or even C, maybe they're like, hey, I kind of work with a certain subset, but I really want to start working with athletics, like that's what I'm truly passionate about. Like what advice would you give to kind of individuals in some of those certain different situations?
Two things come to mind. The first would just be like stay open-minded. And this is coming from someone who is very close-minded. I mean, I like to think I am open-minded, but I think with this field, I wanted so badly for there to be just one path because that's the type of person I am. I want to know what I have to do and then I can get it done. And so embracing the fact that it's open and that you don't have to be an athlete, then get your master's, then get your PhD, then diagnose, or you don't have to, do XYZ and end up in this setting. Like there's so many different populations. There's so many different ways to integrate this. And like you bring something special and unique to the field. So just like letting that be an exciting factor. Whereas for me, that was like really daunting. I was like, can someone just say like what I'm supposed to do? And like, I need to make sure that I'm helping people and feel happy and have balance and make money and this and that. And it's just, it can get to be a lot. And so knowing and trusting that you'll make your path whatever it needs to be and you'll do great at whatever you do. There is no right or wrong. Like I remember being so scared choosing a graduate school. I'm like, what if I choose this one? Like, what if, years down the road, I know that that was like the right one. And it's like, you make it right by working hard and doing your best. It's not, there's no like ultimate judge saying like, oh, you chose the wrong like road, and you can always change and it's beautiful. So I think letting that be exhilarating and staying open-minded. I had a lot of times that I was, I started my own business because I was like, well, no one's offering what I want. So like, I'm going to do it this way. And then I got an opportunity and I'm like, well, it's embarrassing if I, only had my business for 6 months or this. And it's like, no, you got to go with what's speaking to your heart and like your mind right now and just do those things. I thought, well, if I don't go get my, PhD, like what's the point of a master? Who even knows what a CMPC is? Like, why do I, all this stuff, like so judgmental and so close-minded. And now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all just great. You're always learning. It's all going to be good. So definitely stay open-minded, and it can be daunting, but try to stay excited. And then connecting with people. I think this field is so unique, and most helping fields are like this, where the kinds of people that are in this work are so passionate, and so it's so easy to find people willing to help you and to talk to you. And so that's how I've gotten through every stage of my career and like education, is talking to other people that are in it, whether those are students, current sports psychologists, coaches, all of that, like talking to them, asking how it is, trying to understand it. And then if I resonate with them and want to do that, I'm like, okay, what's your biggest piece of advice? Like, how do I do it now? And so you just keep growing the connections. You never know who might know somebody who wants to help you out. And that's everyone in this field, it feels like, is really looking out for you, is really trying to help you. Like, it's not competitive. It's not, we all want to share the knowledge. We all want to help the people. So it's just really, it's a really special field and community. And so I think reaching out, don't be nervous, just connect. Most people are happy to talk about the things they like and do and want to help. So yeah, just reach out and stay positive.
Yeah, no, and I can second a lot of that too, especially the part you mentioned about passion. I mean, a lot of the individuals I've talked to, including yourself, have just been super, super passionate about the work that they do and are going to continue to do. And it's really evident in just these conversations, not only with yourself, but in a lot of these other individuals. I mean, they're speaking so much on behalf of the work that they do, the athletes that they've impacted, their own journey, and how that's helped them kind of create a mold for going forward, and better educating the athletes that they're working with, the performers that they're working with, all of that good stuff too. So again, being able to mix not only the passion, but ultimately the joy, and being able to enjoy what you do too, is super awesome at the end of the day. Like that's two of the greatest things, maybe outside of, being able to have a paycheck and put a roof over your heads, right? We all need to have that at the end of the day too. But the passion and the joy is clearly there. And you did an awesome job going through every single question. I really enjoyed just not only learning more about yourself and your own athletic experience and journey there, but also what brought you into kind of the mental performance side of stuff as well. And a lot of the insights that you shared with us today, I think that all of that stuff is amazing. And I'm really hoping that there's a few nuggets in there kind of sprinkled apart that, a lot of the viewers and listeners can take something, back with them too. For everybody listening to, we're going to be linking Carson's social medias down below. Again, like she mentioned, she's super passionate. I don't want to necessarily like bombard her with stuff, but like she said, people in this industry are willing to talk, are willing to network, form those connections with you guys. So if you guys have any questions, maybe about your own journey that you're going through, or maybe, hey, you just want to talk with her a little bit more about, hey, how she navigated her journey in mental performance, feel free to reach out, let her know. But other than that, guys, we will see you next Friday as always. And again, thank you so much, Carson, for your time today.